welcome to Warhammer Workshop. My name is Amy, and I'm here, as always, with my good friend JF. JF, hello.
Hi.
So, another week, another set of pre-orders. This one, big Age of Sigmar side because it's the Seraphon army set.
It's a pretty army set, I'm going to give you that.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be a big Seraphon player back when they were called the Lizard Men in the old world. I do not have that army anymore, and I'm almost glad I don't.
Yep.
I'm painting some Squigalanch right now, a bunch of squigs to get into Age of Sigmar proper.
Mm-hmm.
And once I've got the squigs, I don't know that I'll be sticking with the goblins. Not that I've got anything against the goblins. I love me some green skins.
Sure.
But looking at the contents of that box, it is very tempting to get in advance.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like all these boxes, it contains the battle tome, it's got your cards,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got a very attractive set of models for a
Yeah.
beginning army.
Yeah, it does. I at this point almost feel like I can't get into Age of Sigmar because then I will have no excuse not to buy things. I currently have a minimum of 3 armies sitting here in my pile of shame. And that's it's fine. It's fine.
It is a little bizarre that neither you or I consider ourselves to be into Age of Sigmar, and we each have at least 3 armies
Yeah,
sitting around.
just casually.
I am looking forward to the old world,
Yeah.
mostly because I have a bunch of spider goblins that I've been meaning to rebase for Age of Sigmar, but I may end up just rebasing them for the old world.
Nice. Nice. Procrastination
So,
pays off.
literally decades of it.
Yes.
There's also a book for Titanicus coming out, the campaign compendium. Looks like a pretty book.
It is, and it's all those other books because we know we're not getting much in the epic scale games for
Not
now.
No. And that is very much unfortunate.
Yeah.
I feel that both Titanicus and Aeronautica Imperialis had a very niche but fervent following,
Yeah.
but we're not getting much.
No.
Not these
They
days.
did say right, so they've been doing those 40th anniversary retrospectives, and I think it was the night one. They said that the the epic scale games were basically on hiatus, which is a shame.
It is very much a shame. I hope this hiatus is temporary. I
Mm.
have a lot of comments to about how both of these games were handled, as far as releases, as far as the marketing, and as
Yeah.
far as some of the decisions that were made. You and I have talked about this. I feel that Games Workshop handcuffed themselves when
Mm-hmm.
dealing with both these games, which is quite unfortunate. Just the fact that they're both the same scale yet have no components to cross over.
Yeah.
Titanicus being limited to only Imperium and Traitor Legions.
Which I found out the original reason for that. I was back re-listening to some of the old Voxcast episodes, and they were talking to Jez Goodwin about knights, and he was talking about when Titanicus came out the first time, way back in the 80s, and the reason that the reason they said it in the Horus Heresy was so that you could just produce one set of models, and then you have the red guys and the blue guys or whatever, and that's it. And so I feel like when they did this new version, they mistakenly thought that keeping it in the Horus Heresy was part of the charm or draw of Tiny Titans.
And in a way it would have, and you're right, when Epic first came out, it was just these Titans that were used for both sides, but as we've seen, as history has shown, they did branch out to some of the other races.
Yeah.
At some point, we
Mm-hmm.
had Gargants, we had
Mm-hmm.
Eldar Knights and Phantoms, but Titanicus never did that. And I think the assumption that everybody loves them some Imperium isn't as true as it was before.
Sure.
So a lot of us have just been kind of sitting, waiting for something different, more interesting. Meanwhile, we're seeing releases for new weapons
Yeah.
for already existing Titans, and it's just at some point it just stops meaning anything
Yeah.
because it just feels like it's always the same thing over and over, just
Yeah.
different stats for the next resin add-on to a game I don't play,
Yeah.
and that's just a crying shame.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's it for pre-orders for this week. Now,
Which is fine.
it's fine because Warhammer Fest is coming. And
Yes, and
so
we're also on the heels. Like as you're listening to this, you can go get yourself a Lion L. Johnson
Mhm.
thing. So it's not like nothing cool is coming
Oh
out. Some would
no,
argue
not
some of
at
the
all.
coolest things is coming out.
Yeah. But also we're heading into a Warhammer holiday. And so
Mm-hmm.
I get that it's that
Things always
pre-lull.
quiet down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
you want to talk about Warhammer Fest because they've shown us the schedule.
it's a hefty schedule.
I don't know how we're going to cover this.
as best we can.
They
Amy, as
have not
best we
made it
can.
easy.
But I think it's clear that our biggest focus is going to be on Saturday at what will be for us 5 a.m. Warhammer 40K preview. They've already revealed that they're going to be showing us what's going to be in the 10th edition starter set. Some very creative YouTubers have reimagined what they think is going to be in the box, and I I mean they're probably not that far off.
Sure.
In the sense that we're probably going to see a lot of the models that have been previewed so far, and some of the models that are in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, it's going to be an interesting weekend for 40K. First of all, because of that reveal.
Yep.
And second of all, because the rules for 40K 10th edition are going to be playable at Warhammer Fest.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a hard time imagining that they're going to be available over the weekend for a handful of people and not make their way either legitimately or through Games Workshop to the general public.
True.
So I don't know, like we can suspect what's going to happen on Saturday for Warhammer 40K, but who knows what Sunday and Monday will bring.
So that's not all on Saturday, because Saturday is also Underworld's Warcry and Middle Earth. So this is like, have they ever done separate previews like this before that you can think of? I mean, certainly not broadcast.
Vague memories
right?
of them doing something similar when they did have large announcement. I think, and I could be wrong, but when they announced box set for Age of Sigmar Dominion, I believe they split things a little bit.
I mean, they've done like single focus, but not single focus for all of them over the course of a weekend.
And this is one of the things I say. This is why I was so surprised that they did the 10th edition announcement at Adepticon, because clearly announcing things at Warhammer Fest is a much bigger deal.
I mean, I do get it though, because like I get it now, because if they're going to have it playable, like you said, there's no way it's not going to wind up somewhere in some form. And so the fact that, like, so now they've given us a lot, like we've been seeing a lot of the hashtag new Warhammer, new 40K. Oh no, I don't remember the hashtag. Like the rules previews.
New 40K, hashtag new 40K.
40K.
I also had to check it. Like, I'm an old man. I'm 47. Yeah. I'm a boomer. I don't Twitter and hashtag very efficiently.
No. So yeah. They've been able to put out all of the rules previews leading up to people actually playing the game.
Yeah, and much like when 9th edition came out, by the time the actual book was in our hand, we had seen 90% of the rules we needed to see.
Yeah.
And they're doing the same thing here, which is a brilliant way of doing things. You want people to know the rules before they get the book, or at least have a good feeling about them, so that the the veteran player can sort of skim through things and get on the tabletop as quickly as possible. I get that.
Yeah.
But it feels like we've seen so much already, and we have another week of this coming on.
Mm-hmm.
Week and a half, actually, as we're recording this.
Yeah.
That it feels that by the time Warhammer Fest does roll around, we're going to have a good grasp on what to expect from 10th edition, rules-wise.
Right.
We'll know on Saturday what's in the box set.
Mm-hmm.
People will have played the game at Warhammer Fest. It's leaving very little for them to do except just release the damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels, but then like we know that they've already said that there'll be a Tyranid focus next month, which is, I mean, not soon. Like there's still a few weeks left. So I don't know. I don't know.
It's going to be interesting, but again, we'll know more on Saturday, the 29th.
Yeah.
And we'll know more about Warhammer Underworlds, Warcry, and Middle Earth.
Yep.
Which feels so tiny next to 40K having their big announcement.
Well, Underworlds, we've already seen the last box of their season, so that'll be restarting. Warcry, I've lost track of where we are, but I think that like we're on the cusp of a lot of changeover.
Mm-hmm.
Then on go ahead.
If Underworld changed from the beast focus, from being Gur focused to something different, I have a feeling that Warcry, they're probably going to be announcing how Warcry follows in those footsteps.
But we don't know what that is yet. I'm assuming it's going to be weird, given that this crossover one is weird in the same way that, you know, they announced the final Kill Team box being the Gallo Dark crashing into a planet, and that is going to lead to things in the next season. That this is going to be similar, I hope, in that the weird Zinch people are tip of an iceberg of what we're going to get into.
We did get a preview today, the rumor engine, of a very Zinch-esque hand waving fire around.
Yeah.
And that is nothing to do with anything we've seen so far. So,
nope.
Who knows? Fingers crossed.
Yeah. On Sunday, we have the Age of Sigmar preview and the Horus Heresy and Old World preview, which is one of those things people clamor for at every single preview.
More Old World. And this is one of those things that I thought would be kind of flipped. I expected Old World to get more meat at Adepticon to leave room at Warhammer Fest for 40K. And not that 40K is not going to be taking up a lot of room at Warhammer Fest, but the fact that they've actually, we're getting Warhammer Old World preview alongside Horus Heresy, seeing that Old World is the Horus Heresy of
Age of Sigmar.
Fantasy, of Age of Sigmar.
Yep.
I like where this is going. I'm curious how big that particular reveal is going to end up being.
Yeah.
It could be nothing. It could be just a handful of new figs.
Check out these shields. Check out this iconography.
Yeah. Or it could be, well, this is going to be the box set, and this is what's going to come in it. And I mean, just this week, I believe they released some information about what to expect for base sizes. Mm-hmm. We're going to have square bases. Hooray! I love the movement for square bases, by the way. So I'm kind of jazzed about it. Unfortunately, there's some changes that means I'm going to have to rebase things anyway. So
close.
By this much. But that's the thing. Like, it's, again, because it's previous coupled war Horus Heresy, which I don't know how much more they can unveil for that in the coming months. It could be so little and so much. So
yeah. I mean, we talked about how it could be demons.
It could be demons. But even if it is, that's
I'm
the
not
problem
saying
with
that's
Horus
my
Heresy.
guess for everything
like
every time.
The last year has been such a brutal avalanche of releases, a quantity and variety I never would have guessed.
Yeah.
that it almost feels like it exhausted itself at this point, which is great. Leaves room for Old World to kind of pick up the baton and run with it.
Yeah.
But also, I don't necessarily want Horus Heresy to be too overshadowed.
I don't think it will. I think it'll be fine.
I don't,
And then
don't know what they're gonna do.
Monday, there's a Kill Team preview
Kill
all by
Team
itself
all its own.
because we know that the new season will be starting.
They've already revealed what the next box set is.
Yeah, the final one. Yep.
So there's nothing else to reveal except what's going
The
on
next.
next.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in a way that's very exciting, as I was mentioning to you before the show, maybe from a rule standpoint, Kill Team is its own thing. It's
Right.
likely to remain its own thing. I hope so.
Yeah, it's better that way.
But at the same time, thematically, it's been tying to Warhammer 40k. The whole
Yeah.
Gallowdark thing
You're right.
tied to Arcs of Omen.
Yep.
Now we've got the Gallowdark is crashing into a planet. 40k is moving into another tyrannic war.
Mm-hmm.
Are these things going to intersect? I'm trying to say is, are we finally going to get a Tyranid Kill Team?
I feel like it would be such a miss not to. Or they're doing it just to spite you.
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised. But here's theoretically, this is not necessarily out of character because if they're going to be doing a Kill Team set in a crashed Gallowdark on a planet infested by Tyranids to follow with the fluff of 40k, like one of the things that we kind of suspect they're not doing, that they're not releasing a plastic lictor.
Yeah.
They're just releasing a lictor variant, like Von Ryan's Leaper.
Because they're like lictors, but they hunt in packs. That's not terrifying.
And why is that not the same set? Why is that? Anyways, it's there's something very annoying about getting Von Ryan's Leapers, but not getting lictors. And I just
that
want
we know
as an
of,
aside,
yet.
Exactly. But getting to that, I just want to put a little tangent that you, or I don't know where you picked up this information from, found out that Von Ryan's Leaper was actually hinted at in a 3rd edition.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
And amongst a bunch of other things, I remember that page clearly because I had that book back then, but not clearly enough to remember all the things that were hinted at. The only thing I remember that was hinted at and became a model was the Trigon, because back then it was a massive deal how they released the Trigon as a Forge World model. And now it's been plastic forever.
Yeah.
I'm old is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I mean, that chart from 3rd edition has hey, so when they take in orc gene seed, this is what happens, and when they take in human genes, this is what happens. And there was some weird stuff in there, man.
It's funny because that's always been part of the lore for me.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, but it's definitely something that they've sort of dusted under the rug a little bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I feel like newer people maybe don't know.
True. And it would be interesting to see them kind of go back to that and show us what happens when it's Kroots, what happens when it's squats, what happens when it's so many other things. So yeah, no, going back to Lictor, maybe this is their chance of introducing new Lictors.
Sure.
Because one thing we haven't seen in either the trailers or any of the teasers is new lictors or new gene stealers.
Yeah.
And I've been goofing around with gene stealer models recently, and I didn't think they were that old, but assembling some, they kind of feel old. And they're in boxes of 8, which is an awkward number.
Yeah.
So I don't know, a box set that comes with a redesigned lictor, maybe a little bit bigger, a little bit more dynamic, and 10 gene stealers.
That'd be all right.
It'd be all right.
That'd be
fine with that.
Nice, yeah.
Be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Um so yeah, we've been getting a lot of these rules previews, and we said for a very long time that we didn't want a new edition. And so far they're going out of their way to make sure that we are okay with a new edition. They're making it worth it. They're not making it feel like it's just like you're right, let's just start over. Like they've actually put in the work.
It's interesting, because a lot of it is everything new, everything old is new again.
Yes.
A lot of rules like, oh, check out this new rule. It's like, I don't know if it's new. I mean, you're calling it new, but kind of been there before.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the way they're addressing things does handle some comments and some complaints that we've had for a few years, and it does feel like every new edition does that.
Yeah.
Where when the edition starts, it's always about correcting things that we thought were annoying, fixing, bringing back things that worked, replacing the things that didn't work.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that this time they kind of stick to it for longer.
Well, so I think this is what feels different, right? So one of the things that we always complain about is bloat. This is especially true with things like stratagems. But because they're building them in, like a lot of those stratagems are just being built into the data sheets for units, I feel like that helps at least somewhat. Because anything they add is going to have to be very broadly usable by whatever faction they're dealing with.
Yes. And having a lot of kind of going about it unit by unit to make each character full, we see it especially with the transport rules. That transports specifically have rules that impact the models being transported or deploying nearby, each individually in a very characterful manner that matches the army that you're playing. So that's very cool. And as far as reducing bloat, one of the things that I am shocked I haven't seen much comment about it, but I thought the internet was absolutely burned to a crisp, is no more choosing psychic powers.
Yeah.
You get a psyker, it has psychic powers. Done. This cuts out a huge chunk of the decision making before the game, along with not having to choose a bunch of stratagems. It's going to make the pregame bookkeeping a lot slimmer and a lot more efficient.
I mean, that's one of those things that I really like about Warcry, right? Is that you don't have to make a lot of decisions ahead of time. You draw cards and that tells you your mission and your terrain, and you know what I mean? And like that kind of stuff really streamlines that like pregame nonsense. And so I'm happy that we're doing this. And for the old 40K.
For the past year and a half, I have only been playing that way for 40K.
Yeah.
They released a while back a pack of cards to generate missions.
Yep.
And I've never touched book missions since.
No.
The only book missions I'm tempted to, I want to try, but I need to finish the scenery for are the Arcs of Omen missions because they look cooler than average.
And that's a whole, it's almost its own, it's its own game type, really.
Exactly. It's its thing.
Yeah.
So it's all very exciting in the sense that so far I haven't seen anything that I find annoying. There's a couple of things that look scary at first glance, such as vehicles with toughness 14. But very quickly you notice that's because anti-tank weapons are designed with that level of toughness in mind, while non-anti-tank weapons don't.
Right.
The only thing that has some people, and by that I mean a little bit me, mostly my brother, gnashing teeth, is that we're still on a full battle round sequence instead of like it's still I go you go instead of being activation based. Having played a tank army versus tank army game recently, I feel that activation would have helped make that game more balanced.
Yeah.
So maybe 11th, I suppose, or maybe
Yeah.
never.
Yeah.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed that what we're going to see to help alleviate that is the core stratagem, of which there's supposed to be 12 now,
Yeah.
which I think almost doubles what we have at the moment. If not, it still adds a sizable component. That a lot of these stratagems are reactive,
Mm-hmm.
things that you use in your opponent's turn.
Right.
That way, instead of just having the game played at you for
Half the time. Yeah.
for half the time, you can actually be participating and reacting and doing things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is especially important when you're in the shooting movement phase, because you're not doing things.
No.
You're not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
As a side note, one of the things that is mentioned in the previews is rules for certain vehicles that the unit can jump back into vehicle when being charged,
Yep.
and I find that awesome.
There's a few really good ones. There's the firing deck that and they can specify how many. So it's not like open top where it's just whatever's in there is fine. Like it's like X models. So you can have 3 dudes shoot or whatever, like whatever X is.
But you
and
can
then
also have a firing deck 22
sure.
to represent the open top.
Why not? And then the rapid deployment that units can disembark from a transport after it has advanced. Yeah, that's fine.
Very nice. For
That's
that
fine.
sounds very Eldar.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's assault ramps are back, which neat.
Yeah.
It's just cool.
That's just cool.
Now,
Yeah.
the only thing that kind of bothers me, but I'm open to the idea of seeing this problem as an opportunity, is that if there is one army, because they mentioned mostly like that open top and certain types of vehicle are better designed to rush back into when being charged.
Sure.
I don't feel that the Tau Devilfish qualifies as one of those vehicles. It does have 3 access points, so maybe I'm just being pessimistic. But again, that brings me to the idea of opportunity for maybe a new transport
Mm-hmm.
or for the Tau.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't had a new vehicle in a donkey's age,
while. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing about a new edition, right? Is it's more like, yes, it's new codexes, but there's other stuff that usually goes along with it.
Yeah, it's the yin yang of the new codexes that are
Yeah.
gonna come out. I'm bummed about having to buy new codexes. I
Yeah.
don't like it. I would rather get new rules and new models in a more scattered way.
Look, I just learned how to play 9th edition.
Exactly. But at the same time, new codexes usually means new splash releases.
stuff.
And
Yeah.
new stuff usually means also new bigger stuff.
Yeah.
So like, there's so many things I wouldn't mind seeing. Like I want to see like certain armies get their flyers. I know they're not
Yeah.
necessarily the most popular things in 9th edition, but
But they
a
could be.
Sister's flyer would be really
Sister's
elegant
flyer
and cool.
would
The
be
Photon won't shut up about
lovely.
their gunships.
Give me a gunship. Oh my god, give me a gunship. Give me a gunship sooner rather than later for reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, so exciting times.
It's so exciting. I'm very excited. They're also doing a bunch of preview stuff with all of the licensed video games, which of which I'm a fan.
So which ones do you play?
So I mean, of those right now, I mean, mostly right now, I'm just playing Dark Tide. I'm terrible at Mechanicus, but I do love it. I'm just super bad. And I was told that I could turn the difficulty down, but what they did not know was that I already had it all the way down. So that's fine. There's a few card games on this list, which is interesting, like, because they're digital, so that's fine. I'm fine. Digital card games are fine because I don't have to have cards in my home. I'm intrigued by this Horus Heresy Legions. I am unfamiliar with that one. But yeah.
Epic as a video game. I know Boltgun is going to be a Doom style shooter.
Yeah, that one looks kind of fun. because shoot his guns and teeth, shoot his blood and teeth, whatever it is. That game is crazy fun, and that's a dual stick shooter. I keep getting stuck on things, and so then I have to like put it away for a little while, and then I go back and whatever it is, I just breeze through, and I'll go, all right, fine.
See, I've been playing a little bit of Tacticus recently.
Yeah.
And it's a free to play strategy game. I think its biggest problem is that it has more layers to it than I'm used to seeing. Because it does consider a lot of things, and like it takes a lot into consideration when you're playing it. Like if you're standing, if you have elevation, you get bonuses to damage. If you're in brushes, you get cover bonuses. Like there's a bunch of things that if you're just playing very casually and stupidly like I am, you don't take into account. So you hit a wall of what you can do very quickly. But it's an alright game.
Yeah.
I am curious to see, like, there's a lot on that list, such like Rogue Trader, Imperium Maledictum. Like, there's a lot in there that it doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what's going to be in there.
Yeah. Good times. I am actually. Yeah, bolt gun. That might happen. That could be fun. I remember when Doom came out. I'm old enough for that. It was a good time. It was revolutionary, you guys.
I was there for Doom. I never really played it all that much. I mostly know Doom as the game that people are trying to load onto potatoes and
somebody played one on a
board.
Somebody loaded one on a something stupid. Doom is great.
Anyway. I can't wait to be in the hospital in my 90s and someone's gonna freaking load Doom into my cardio spectrometer.
Yeah. And you're just gonna
instead of knowing what my heartbeat is, I'll be fighting Cyborg Hitler. It'll be great.
Yeah. Anyway, that about wraps up everything for this week, unless you have anything else to add.
Not really. I'm done.
All right. Well, all of our social media information is in the show description. And until next week, happy gaming. Materials shown in this video are provided fully or in part by Games Workshop for promotional purposes. If you enjoyed this video, please consider dropping us a like and subscribing. Thanks for watching.